Okay, welcome back to the UiPath Orchestrator series. Did I say Orchestrator? Studio overview series. We're talking about the UiPath Studio, which is the integrated development environment for all things UiPath that you will need to do to create robots, automations, libraries, and the like. And we've been through most of the functionality of this environment. But I wanted to go a little bit further because we haven't talked about a few elements. I'm going to do a screenshot of this now, right? And that screenshot I'm only going to use to describe this band up here where you see home, design, and debug. This is called a ribbon, the ribbon, right? So we have talked about everything on home. We've talked about everything we can at this point on debug. But we didn't quite finish talking about the elements, some of the elements on the design tab, which is manage packages, test manager, app web recorder, computer vision, all these guys. And so I think we should spend some time talking about some of them, if not all of them. And that would be the focus of this video, to talk about manage packages, right? So I'm going to close this now and talk to you about manage packages. For best, for your best understanding, I think we should click on the project tab here. And then these things called dependencies are what we're looking at now. The ones you see here are what come by default when you open up UiPath Studio. This is called Excel activities. These are basically activities, any stuff that you can use to control Excel. This one is for mail, stuff that you can use to control Outlook, Gmail, all kinds of mail systems, right? System activities are basic. They're all basic. These are like fundamental UiPath actions. And these things are like a summary of all the activities you see in here. I've clicked on activities now. So for example, if I looked in this location and typed Excel, you would see Excel process scope. You see all of this. And these are all under UiPath Excel activities, right? So all these actions, say for example, you wanted to format cells, insert row, read range, which are activities you can do in the course of manipulating Excel while you're building an automation. They're all pre-made for you. So all you have to do is, for example, just drag it in, right? For example, Excel application scope, just drag it in here. Excuse me. Right, and then something will come in, you will put in the workbook that you're trying to work with, you put the name here, and then you drag in a bunch of activities inside this place, such as get workbook sheet or read cell. And that's not the object of this video. The object of this video is to show you that these activities exist by default inside UiPath Studio because UiPath.Excel activities come by default when you open UiPath Studio. And that brings us to the functionality called, I'm going to delete this thing I added now so you don't get confused. I'm going to delete that. And that brings us to the functionality or the button called manage packages. Now, assuming I was building an automation, which you can do, that needs to create a Word document and write stuff in it, right? There's nothing here for Microsoft Word. So I'm going to have to get the pre-built activities, very similar to these, right? There are many of them. There are literally thousands of them. I just showed you Excel, but as you can see, there are many other functionalities. Microsoft Teams, OKTA, they all have like pre-built activities that you just drag and drop into this designer panel, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So, but like I said, we don't have anything for Word there. And how do I know? If I search like Word, chances are that I will not find anything. Oh, okay, I got some word activities, some basic ones. Huh? Okay. But what I want is I want more, right? This is just a few items. I want to be able to open a document, to close a document, to edit a document, to do all sorts of activities on Word. And I don't have it. So I would go click on manage packages, right? And this is where you would get anything you're looking for. So project dependencies, like what you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 5 things that are on our right here, right? The same things we just looked at, UiPath. These same things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're already in the process. So project dependencies we have here. So if I was looking for Word, I might click on all packages and then search for Word. And then you see something like, oh, UiPath.Word activities. Very similar to UiPath.Excel activities. If I click on that, I would need to, install it, right? And what I like to do is I like to use the lowest applicable version. I'm not saying that's a hard and fast rule. You don't have to change that. And because that makes me be able to run this, use this on, if someone does not have an upgraded version of this UiPath Word activities, I'll be able to work with it. And then I can now click install, right? And then save. So you see that by the time we're done with this, it's gonna have it added to the right side, left side of the screen under dependencies. So that's how you add, if you're looking for activities, to work on an automation you're building. Like I just made an assumption that we're going to need to work with Microsoft Word, right? And so I found the Word activity, and I pulled a package down from, and I'll come to where it's coming from in a little bit. I pulled this into here. So now you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 5 before. And if we went to activities and I search for Word again, you see that we have like a different, we have a few more things, I guess, that were not there before. Add hyperlink, Word application scope, file, append text, read, a lot of options, right? We have them here. And if I needed to work with a Word document, I just drag this in and I would say, okay, put in the file path of the document, and then tell it what to do. Maybe like, oh, read the text inside it and store it somewhere, I could do that depending on what I'm trying to accomplish, right? So that's how the same thing for PowerPoint. Like if I looked for PowerPoint, maybe my project involved doing some work on PowerPoint. All right. I don't see no PowerPoint here. Okay. Save PowerPoint file as. So I might go back to packages and say, okay, this time I click on all packages and I say PowerPoint. And I'll see a bunch of activities. Oh, UiPath.PowerPoint.activities, the presentation.activities. And you get, it basically says use it to execute PowerPoint related operations. Same thing this one does. It's a matter of preference which one you pick. But the point I'm trying to make is that if your automation does not, if you're working on building something that does not have the default dependencies, you will need to come to the marketplace or this manage packages location to add it to your automation. I do the same thing. I say lowest applicable version. I will save. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to install then save. So same thing, it will drop it, and then you'll see that my dependencies have increased to 7. I believe there were 6 before. So that's how you add dependencies to UiPath Studio. So I think another thing that's important to know just before we wrap this up is that, I have clicked on all packages to do my search, right? But there are local packages. Those are some of the ones that are already in your system or on your machine, or the default dependencies that came with UiPath Studio when you opened it. Then there are official. These are the ones that were made by UiPath. Then there's Marketplace, where Anybody can make something that works an automation. For example, in our class, we made something that types on the calculator. Now, assuming everybody has calculator on their computer, I can actually publish it to Marketplace and say, you know what, I've made something that allows you to press the calculator. Anybody can use it. And UiPath will take a look at it and approve it if it's okay. And everybody will have access to it. So for that reason, you will find all sorts of programs here, depending on what you are trying to accomplish. I don't want you to get too bogged up into because everything has like a different use, right? If you don't use Arcusoft, this won't make sense to you. This is an Excel, it's an Excel activity, right? Accelerate. So you have all sorts of, actually almost an infinite number of options. If you use Atos software, if you use Agnify, you might find some of these useful, right? But the difference is that these ones are officially made by UiPath. This one can be made by any developer, right? Now your orchestrator is the cloud version of this, the cloud partner of UiPath Studio. There will be some things you either kept there or came by default. They will be stored in that place, and you can pull them down into your automation if you need them, right? But we don't want to go too advanced into it. The bottom line is that there's any activity, let me close this, that you need, that you can't find, right? And it could be anything. Maybe I'm using, I don't know, Google Mail. So if it's not already there, then I might need to go and look for it, right? I might need to go to manage packages and go to and make sure I'm selected. I have selected all packages, and then do Gmail, something like that. And then, so these are custom activities for Gmail. And if I just, okay, this is not compatible with Windows. So I guess, it won't work for this, which is good to know. Google. So there, as you can see, Google, there are different Google packages here. If you wanted to do something with Google Maps or Google Vision or Google Cloud, you could put it in, right? Depending on what you are trying to build. Again, so if you don't need it, of course, you don't need to come here looking for it. But the point is, anything that is not in your activities by default is probably in some package here that you could take advantage of instead of having to build everything from scratch. So if I wanted, I'm not sure which one, Google Cloud is the one I selected. I would say install, and I would say save, right? And then that will bring that down. So when this is done, you will find that we started with, I think, 5 activities, or 5 dependencies, I'm sorry. And now I think we should have about 8 or 9. And of course, what that means is that I can perform more, I can have access to more activities to work or build my automation, right? So I'm going to click on the project tab. And you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 now. Started out with 5. I added Google Cloud, I think it was presentations and Word, You can add as many as you want depending on what you're trying to do. And of course, if I try to search cloud now, I'll see some Google Cloud. These are things I can use if I'm building an automation that involves Google Cloud. Okay. So at this point, doesn't have any much practical use for you, because whatever is in your activities, or you will only need to add, put additional activities or draw down additional packages if you're trying to do something that is not already included in the 5 that came by default. That's the only time you need it. So that's enough for managed packages, and I hope you know how to use the functionality should you require it in the future from this video. All right. Thank you. Appreciate your attention. See you in the next class.